We are back. Unafraid Show. George Reister in the building. Thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate your time, appreciate your energy. And if you don't know who I am, former NFL player, host of the Unafraid Show, written, been, hosted shows, all that, Fox Sports 1, ESPN, unafraidshow.com. Make sure you visit. All type of great articles up every single day. Hard opinions, honesty everywhere. You will not be, there are no agendas. The truth is the only agenda at the Unafraid Show. Make sure you share the Unafraid Show with a friend. Tell a friend about the Unafraid Show. But before we get started on the Pac-12 Power Rankings, we get to your viewer questions. And remember, if you have those, send them to I'm mad at unafraidshow.com. I'm mad at unafraidshow.com. Before we get to that, and whether Larry Scott should be fired as Pac-12 commissioner, and the ex-Ohio State running back that just got acquitted of rape. First, I want to talk about a onion cutting story, which is Tyler Trent. If you didn't see on game day, on college football game day, there's a kid who goes to Purdue. He was a high school student, loved Purdue, loved the Boilermakers. Like die hard like the Boilermakers are Alabama. And he got into Purdue. Before he was getting ready to go, he found out he had cancer. He was determined to go to school. Got to go to school, found out cancer came back, and now he's in hospice care. He showed up so he had been around the team. Team had come around. You know, he had been inspiring the team. They had been inspiring him. Everybody thinks he's going to die. He makes it to the Ohio State game versus Purdue. And they absolutely boat race Ohio State. I actually feel bad for Ohio State because this was very similar to what happened against Oregon and Washington State. Sometimes you just can't win when everything is lined up against you. Washington State had that damn flag that had flown to every single damn game day. The crowd was hyped. They had never had game day. Ran into a buzzsaw. Same thing Ohio State did. Like, it was just no good. They couldn't win. So now we're going to get straight away into the Pac-12 Power Rankings. Obviously, there was a huge shakeup in the Power Rankings. Huge shakeup in the Power Rankings because Oregon was only able to keep the number one spot for what? A grand total of like 7 days? That was it. But the number one, actually, we go in descending order. Number 12 in the Pac-12 is obviously Oregon State. This team's terrible. This team is absolutely terrible. They are first in rushing. They're first in rushing offense. Even though they played Cal, they were not able to rush the football, and they got beat up by Cal. Like, this is a team that is going nowheresville right now. Their running situation had been good, but then they came out and played terribly, absolutely terribly against Cal. Like, they didn't even have a chance, which was probably very frustrating for the Oregon State faithful, because this is a game they probably thought that they had a chance to win because UCLA had just beaten Cal for their first win. For their first Pac-12, their first win overall, but their first Pac-12 win as well last week. So they probably thought they had a chance, but turns out they didn't. Number 11 in the Pac-12 Power Rankings there was a little shift there too. Cal was number 11 last week. They're still number 11 too. And that's only because Arizona is sitting at number 10. I like Cal, and Cal is a team that I thought would have a lot more success this year. I thought that Cal would actually be able to potentially upset one of the big dogs in the conference. And the reason why I thought that is because their defense had been so good early on. I did not anticipate the problems with the quarterback, Chase Garbers, and then they had McElwain, who was throwing a bunch of picks. Laird can't run the ball. Like this Cal defense, who was leading the nation in picks through 4 games, they have not been able to generate turnovers at the same rate. That's why they're sitting at number 11 in the Pac-12 power rankings. Number 10, Arizona, 3-5, lost to UCLA. I was actually at this game in particular. I was very surprised how well Rhett Rodriguez filled in for Khalil Tate. And I'm going to tell you this. Khalil Tate may not necessarily get his job back when he is back healthy, because Rhett Rodriguez is playing well. He played well for his first start. I was not mad at Rhett Rodriguez at all. The Arizona rushing attack, they are explosive. They spread you out, do a good job there. The only problem is their defense, dude. Their defense is porous. I mean, their defense is just, Swiss cheese holes all over the place in this defense. This is not a team who can win a lot of games. They're just not. They're not built for it because their defense isn't strong enough, tough enough, and they're not physically equipped up front to withstand somebody running the ball at them. UCLA was able to run the ball at will. So that's where Arizona lies, number 10 in the Pac-12 power rankings. Number 9, Arizona State. They moved down a slot after losing to Stanford. Yep, they're sitting at 3-4. They're sitting at 3-4 right now. And this is about where we thought they would be in the preseason. They've played a reasonable schedule, lost some games they shouldn't have lost. Every single loss has been by 7 points, I believe. Every single one. So you're within 1 score of every single game. So that's not the mark of a terrible team. That's the mark of a team who doesn't know how to close, who doesn't execute properly, everything from penalties down to drop passes, missed reads, overthrows, missed tackles. That's what's plaguing Arizona State right now. It's the details, the efficiency of their playmakers. UCLA sitting at number 8. They're 2-5 now. It's a winning streak. 2 in a row. 2 in a row. And the question is, can they make... Well, no, they won't be making it 3 this week versus Utah. But you never know. Utah's playing on the road. They're finally getting some respect. Number 23 in the country in the biased AP poll. But they're getting respect. And the only thing that UCLA... Like, if you're UCLA, you have to be nervous. Because while you beat Arizona, that's a good thing. The bad part is your quarterback got hurt. Your quarterback got injured because he had to leave the game. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who was continuously flashing. Like, keeps having moments where you're like, oh, wow. Chip Kelly and his UCLA team are going to be good year 2, year 3. They're going to be good. But they get Utah. Utah's offense, though, like, they've been playing really, really well the last couple weeks. Tyler Huntley, like, showed out. I have been, like, flabbergasted at the fact at how he played against in their last game against USC. This dude threw 22 of 29 for 341 yards and 4 touchdowns. Yes, by Tyler Huntley and the usually anemic Utah offense. Man, I don't know what the hell Kyle Whittingham did between the first 3 weeks of the season and the last 4 weeks of the season. However, I did not think that Yogi Roth knew what he was talking about when he said that the Utah offense had turned a corner against Stanford, but apparently they had. I don't know what the hell happened. Something happened, though. Good job. Good on them, dude. Good on them. Number 9 in the Pac-12. Actually, no. Number 8 was UCLA. Number 7 in the Pac-12 power rankings is Colorado. Colorado, just like I said, they had 0 chance of beating Washington at Washington. I knew it. Some people are going to say, George, the game is kind of close. Yeah, but you know when a game is close, but it's still like this far away. That's kind of the way it was Colorado and Washington. Like, they were close in points, but they weren't close in terms of, like, I never felt like Washington was in danger of losing that football game. They should get Laviska Shenault, their all-star, all-American wide receiver, back. But, like, this is a team that's middle of the road, but they're going to make a bowl game this year, which is good on them. And it's going to save Mike McIntyre his job. Number 6, USC. USC has to be number 6, dude. I contemplated putting them behind Colorado. However, evidenced by the week before when they played Colorado, like, neither team seems to be playing particularly better. So I could not rank USC below Colorado, even though USC at 6 at 4-3 felt wrong. It did. They can't run the ball right now. They can't pass the ball well right now. JT Daniels got hurt. Fink came in. They only threw for like 130 yards total combined, or somewhere around there. They weren't able to run the football. It was bad. I know Utah's defense is really good, but you can't get shut down like that. USC has 5-star and 4-star athletes at every single position. How on earth can't you whoop the 2-star dudes more than they whoop you? I mean, like, even if they beat you, like, you should have moments of great success. That's always confusing, troubling, and perplexing to me. Yep, I did not have that written down. Number 5 in the Pac-12 power rankings for week 9, Stanford. I don't know what to make of this team because Stanford has not looked good. Like, they haven't looked polished and efficient. That intellectual brutality that we're used to hearing about and seeing has not been present the entire year. Utah figured out how to stop their jump ball. They haven't been throwing it as much. They can't run the football. Like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Their defense is playing okay. But it is just crazy. Someone said the Utah game. I told you last week. Yes, you were right, Tony Gennaro. You told me. Number 4, Utah. Why is Utah number 4 in the Pac-12 power rankings? Because I don't quite believe yet. I don't believe in Utah yet. Yeah, they beat Stanford, but then they came back and beat USC, who's terrible on defense. They beat so they beat USC, who's terrible on defense. They beat Stanford, who can't run the football and wasn't playing well at the time. And they beat another bad defense. They beat, let me see. Yeah, they beat Arizona. I just talked about their Swiss cheese defense. So I'm not buying Utah as much as everybody is buying them right now. Yes, it's a fun story. Yes, it's cool. And they're probably going to get another W this week against UCLA. But I'm still not buying. Like, until you beat a good defense, I'm not buying this offensive explosion quite yet. On the same level, I'm starting to believe, but I don't fully believe. And I believe that the number 3 team in the country, number 3 team in the Pac-12, who's battle tested. Washington has played Auburn and they've played Oregon. So Washington versus Utah, like, those are 2 top tier defenses, not just in the Pac-12, but in the entire nation. It's going to be tough on Tyler Huntley. It's going to be tough on... Oh, sorry. Washington already beat Utah. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking about. Washington is a better team than Utah. Okay? I mean, that's what I got for you right now. And the reason why Washington moved down is still in the 4 spot behind... Well, in the 3 spot behind Oregon is because Oregon just beat them. What else do you want me to tell you? There are some questions about Oregon right now, though. That physicality, that brutality that they have been displaying all year, it was absent and not present against Washington State. And I told everybody before the Washington State game, I told them before Oregon played Washington State. This is a game. This is a trap game for Oregon. Oregon's pass defense was ranked 10th in the Pac-12 in terms of defensive pass efficiency. Washington State's pass offense, number 1 in the conference in pass efficiency. When you add those things together, somebody's got to lose. And if Oregon had been able to run the football early in the game, they would have comported themselves much better, because Washington State had the ball the entire half. The defense couldn't get off the field on third down, kept staying in third and short. No bueno, buddy. But the team fought hard. They got back to 20-27 and then had to kick the ball off. They had a shot. They just could not get a stop when it mattered the most. That's why Washington State is number 1 in the Pac-12 power rankings week 9. This team, I mean, it is, I've said it, and it's funny because this is foreshadowing. Because all year I've been saying I believe that this Washington State team may be on to something special. That this could be a special type of season. Like the same type of thing that I'm talking about with that kid, Tyler Trent at Purdue, who came out and helped Purdue win against Ohio State. Kid with cancer. The same way Washington State got game day. Just so happened against Oregon. Same way, I mean, like these things, sometimes you cannot win in situations. There's so much adversity against you. As a better team, it doesn't matter. And I believe that Washington State has something special going on this year. I've said it for weeks upon weeks. I think that the team, the way that Gardner Minshew came in, was supposed to go to Alabama, came to Washington State, ended up starting. After Tyler Helinski's suicide, this team has rallied together. They play hard. They have emotionally tested. This team is on to something. I'm telling you, I don't know how special or when the run is going to end, when Cinderella slipper is going to fall off. But Washington State is playing great football right now, and they're going to give anybody who plays them hell right now. But I do question if Oregon gave people the blueprint on how to beat them in the second half. I do wonder that. The next thing up, I want to get to the viewer questions. You guys, if you guys have any questions, send them in to I'mMad@unafraidshow.com. I'm mad at unafraidshow.com. I'mMAD@unafraidshow.com. Make sure you send them in. I will get to them. So we got a bunch of questions in from my man. We got, he asked a question. He says, are coaches typically verbally abusive and using profanity? Or is it just a Netflix HBO hype? And is it effective? A lot of coaches do. There's a lot of cuts. There's a lot of cussing and a lot of MFing going around at times, between the coaches and the players, and the coaches and the other coaches. That happens sometimes. I am not a believer that you have to cuss a kid out, that you have to do any of that to motivate a kid. Because Tony Dungy, like this was proved by Tony Dungy, who I saw, who his kids, who the people who played for him, said they knew when Tony was pissed off and they needed to do something better. He didn't have to yell at him. He didn't have to scream at him. He was just honest. He was upfront and he was real. And he meant what he said. So if he was like, this is not cutting it, we have to find somebody to do it. If you can't do it, he was going to do just that. So he didn't need to yell at you. He just set the expectation. There were consequences. There were all of that. You just got to follow the rules. So I don't think that you need to do that, even though there are a lot of coaches who do that. Next question he had was about Larry Scott. He had a question about Larry Scott and about Clay Helton. Should Larry Scott be replaced? I mean, that's a legit question we have to ask as Pac-12 fans. Should Larry Scott be replaced at this point in time? Because when he first came on as commissioner, this was a great thing. Like, he was doing a fantastic job. The conference was thriving, all of that. But now that we see the replay scandal, it is bringing into question his competence and his ability to still lead. Not that he's a bad guy, but Mike Leach called out the entire conference. He called out the entire conference, saying that they were afraid of USC, that they did not want to, about the replays and how third parties were getting involved in replay calls. And then naturally, once the media finds out about one incident, what do? They got to ask questions. They say, okay, so can we hear the tapes from other reviews? You know what Larry Scott said? Nope, you can't see him, can't hear him. Why is that? So if there's no impropriety going on, there is a need for transparency. And there's always a need for transparency when there is impropriety or when there is questions about honesty, when there's questions about integrity. You always must have transparency. And Larry Scott and the Pac-12 are not doing that right now. So the first order of business for the Pac-12 has to be driving up engagement. They have to drive up engagement. And by that, I mean, if you look at the SEC, what the SEC says about itself and its conference and its teams, it just matters more. So you have to find a way to make it matter more to the Pac-12, to Pac-12 fans. You have to engage them more. You have to make sure that they know that their support is not only necessary, but it's mandated. That you have to get out and support your team. Like if you see what the SEC did, Nick Saban called out the fans for not showing up. And then Tim Tebow, who's a Florida guy, doubled down and called out Alabama fans. You see what I'm saying? The Pac-12 has to have that intensity. I know you got 4 teams in California, Stanford, Cal, UCLA, and USC. But you have to find a way to get the Rose Bowl full. It was only half full the other day. It was only half full. The conference, Larry Scott has to find a way to not just go with the party line. Because that's a lie. The party line is the Pac-12 is the conference of champions. We don't just care about football because you haven't won since USC, 2005? 2006? That's what he says. We don't just care about football. We care about all sports. Yeah, we do. But, and yes, the Pac-12 has won more championships by far than any other conference. However, football is king. Football drives revenue. Football is the only reason most other sports exist on campus because they generate all the revenue. The Pac-12 is last in the Power 5 conferences in revenue. Why do you think that is? Engagement, number 1. Number 2 is the TV network deal. It is completely unacceptable that the Pac-12, which has 4 of the best 20 teams in the country, and then add Utah, you got 25. And I'm sorry, you got 5. And all their games cannot be seen. Do you realize how insane that is? Like, imagine not being able to see. I mean, Tennessee sucks. And you can still see every single Tennessee game no matter what provider that you have. No matter whether you have Dish Network, DirecTV, streaming, Hulu, Roku, whatever it is, you can get the SEC network in every single package. Can you get the Pac-12 network? Nope. And then you let ABC Put your games on ESPN too. You got to advocate, man. That's the problem with Larry Scott right now. Like the TV contract is not where it needs to be for the Pac-12. And that's killing the conference right now. Third thing is, and also the Big Ten network. That's a great point. The Big Ten network is available pretty much everywhere as well. Pac-12 is not. There's literally not even a Pac-12 app that you can get out of the Apple Store and then use it on your Apple TV. How stupid is that? Oh man, it's so frustrating. The third thing is reasonable game start times. Your best matchups. You cannot rely just on the flagship ESPN to broadcast your 7:30 games. Gonna have to get more games, find a way to get more games on national televised games, national TV. You have to find a way to do that. Number 4, I already talked about the impropriety and transparency. And then number 5 was always stop the party line. We care about all sports. Football is king. I love basketball. I love baseball. But you have to follow the money. And until you win championships in football on a regular basis, no matter who wins it, whether it's USC, Oregon, UCLA, Washington State, Washington, whoever, until you get that done, your conference is always going to be looked at as second tier. Think about this. Before the college football season even started, people were talking about, the Pac-12, can they get somebody in? Are they good? They don't say that about any other conference. This is a Larry Scott problem. Got to do better. No, football does not make 5 times the money other sports do. Football makes like 100 times the money other sports do. It's not even like they fund all the other sports. Okay, next thing up on the Unafraid show today. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your energy today, guys. Thanks. There's a running back. Well, a former running back at Ohio State. In this story, drove me bananas. It drove me bananas because, and it frustrated me. It frustrated me because I'm a person who believes victims. I'm a person who understands that sometimes these things are weaponized against good people. Because people are scorned, because people are, a whole host of reasons why people do the things that they do, why they lie. And the story today was just absolutely troubling. It came out a few days ago, but I just ran across it today. So there was a former running back at Ohio State. He ended up getting kicked off the team, ironically by Urban Meyer. His name is Breonte Dunn. He got accused of rape by a girl that he was dating. But there were recordings that said that she lied about everything. She confessed to it. She said that she was going to lie on him, all of these things. And then do you know what the DA did? The prosecutors. Instead of saying, you know what? You are absolutely right. This man is not guilty. Breonte Dunn, sorry, we apologize. We screwed up. This lady lied. We're not going to prosecute her. So instead of that, you know what the DA did? They went and offered him a plea deal to plead guilty. What type of bull is that? That is absolute bull. How on earth are you going to know somebody is innocent, but then you just want to keep your conviction rate up or not look silly because you just believe somebody. I mean, come on, that's horrendous. That's misconduct. But I'm a person, I believe if you rape somebody, you should absolutely have your life ruined and go to jail. But if you lie about being raped, you should also face consequences for this as well. Because you've ruined somebody else's life. I mean, the kid got kicked out off the football team, got kicked out of school, name thrown in the mud. But will they highlight it the same way as they did when he got arrested? Nope. No, they won't. Because here's the truth. And then the other part that there's two more parts that just like blew my mind is that the fact that I had a tough time locating the name of Breonte Dunn's lying ass accuser. I had a tough time doing that. And that's a huge problem. His name is plastered all over the headlines. Yes, he was a 4-star recruit. His name is plastered all over the headlines. But she was the only person who had wrongdoing and her name is protected. What? What kind of insane world do we live in? I mean, women are sexually assaulted and raped on a daily basis at an alarming rate. And they don't have to make it up. They don't have to make it up. Like, it happens all the time and it goes unprosecuted. People don't believe them all the time. So I believe that women do need to be believed. However, we must always understand and keep in our mind before we pass judgment that sometimes these claims are weaponized. I don't know how we do it in the system to where we believe people, but at the same time, we just don't just automatically prosecute people or like ruin their lives with an allegation, because sometimes people make stuff up, which is unfortunate. But do you know what? If you start prosecuting these people, they will stop making shit up. Guarantee it. If you start sending them to jail, they'll stop making it up. I'm not talking about a he said, she said where two people thought different things. No. I'm talking about when you flat out lie and your goal is to intentionally hurt the other person or get them sent to jail. Your ass needs to be sent to jail. I'm 100% in on that. So we got a couple more questions before we close up today. How about replacing Clay Helton? I will talk about Clay Helton in a piece for probably this weekend or early next week about firing a coach, the rules for firing a coach. Because you do have to be able to find somebody much better. And is USC really still a top 5 job? That's a legit question. Because you got, yes, they're top 5 talent. They can get recruits. But you don't see people knocking down the door trying to get to the USC job, which is kind of weird. Is Malcolm Jenkins a sellout? Nope, he's not a sellout. He and Eric Reed had different goals. Like, it's always easy to call somebody a sellout when you didn't have the same goals. Eric Reed's goal was very similar to Kaepernick's. And Malcolm Jenkins was trying to create some peace between the owners and the players, and then to get back to and then find a way to get the owners to give some money back to the community and all that. And Malcolm Jenkins didn't like the way it was divided up. He didn't like the way that it was being handled, and I can understand that as well. But they had two different goals. But it is definitely not a good idea to call Malcolm Jenkins publicly a sellout. You can think he's a sellout, but it's not a good idea to do that, because now you have divided people within a division. So you have people fighting against injustice, social justice, against the killing of unarmed black men. And then now we have infighting amongst the people fighting who say they're fighting for the same cause. That never goes anywhere positively. And the last question we had in today, send your questions in. I'm mad at unafraidshow.com, is about Oregon's offense, all of that stuff. I will get to that in terms of the Pac-12 preview, which will be on Friday. The Pac-12 power rankings will be out in the next hour or two up on unafraidshow.com. Make sure you look at it, share it with a friend. Tell a friend about the Unafraid Show, because the Unafraid Show is the greatest thing you're ever going to see on television, on your phone or anywhere else. Thank you guys for joining me. Peace out. Catch you guys tomorrow.